what have you experienced with
Yeah.
it?
And so, of course, the divine timing of when I was beginning that, I was also really anchoring into realizing I was about to go public with all this. And it really shifted me. It was a huge empowering thing for me. I didn't think it would be. I heard about it. Cinda mentioned it, and I didn't really understand it, but I had already known, like, you don't have to understand anything. Just go with it so much. And then as soon as I finally, like, anchored it and empowered myself to just do it, I remember the first crystal broadcast, it immediately shifted me from a bystander into an action taker. And I realized the difference. Yeah. And I was like, I just did that. And I felt the power. And I remember I got full chills when I, like, read out the mantras or statements. And it was just it was so easy and it was so powerful at the same time. And then I knew that I didn't have to even understand everything that was happening. And it really showed me, it was just, I remember it was huge for me because, and why I want everyone to do this is this world is scary and shit is happening out there that we feel like we can't control. And it was a huge way of me to realize that I can do this to actually make a difference and understand that it's connecting with other people who are in the similar mindset. And you just don't really know where to start. People who feel lost or scared but want to make a difference, they didn't know where to start. And I knew I was going to. And so when you guys reached out, it was perfect because I'm like, this is where I'm going to start. This is huge. And then it was more just like an excitement and the power when I began. But then it really, speaking of that, like, spiritual maturity, when I got into that, it really leveled me out into realizing that it was physically integrating into the earth. And when I started feeling and talking with Mother Earth and realizing that the vibrations were shifting in her and that she wanted us to transmute things to her to, like, shift for us. I remember that was like the first long conversation I had with her, which was beautiful. And I remember how she was just like, you doing this and connecting with other people is physically pulling heaven down onto earth. And I remember, like, I did not even think it was that huge. I remember just like, what? Okay. Because that's what I'm trying to do. Yes. And so then I started really anchoring the light, and I would do these cool little, like, I would just feel the energy, and there was just energy around it. And I know I always am susceptible to feeling energy, but I would, like, ask people around me, feel this. And if you put your hand over you could feel the actual energy. And it was such a, like, for people who aren't in the world that we're in, they could still see that it was doing something and they didn't even understand it. But what's been really cool is I started with the crystal broadcast in my backyard, and I would make a little circle, and then I would, like, talk with Mother Earth, and it was shifting it, and I would feel the energy, and then I would just leave it, which is another great part of it is you can just leave it and it's still working, you know? You're like, and you don't have to worry about it. Your manifestations or your creations don't get in the way because you don't even have to worry about it. You did that work for us, which is so easy. So then my guide, I think it was about 5 months in, I just had this, like, urge to move my circles inside my house. Mm-hmm. And they were just like, now that you've integrated it into the earth, integrate it into your life and see how it, like, coincides with the earth energy. And so a huge difference in my home, and we were all just, like, lighter. And of course there's just the roller coaster of life. But I remember it was just so obvious to move it inside, because each month you would send something. I would have to make sure I had, like, a good hour because I really liked feeling the energy. They were like, move it up onto the second story of your house now. Make it go higher. I was like, why? I didn't really question it, but I was like, okay. So I did it in my bedroom, and they were like, it kept me awake. And that's how I knew it was very powerful. So I moved it out of my bedroom, into my little meditation room that I'm in now. I remember I sent Cinda pictures of it, and I was like, I'm up in my meditation room with it. And it was so powerful. And then I didn't really think about why they asked me to move it up here. I just thought, I was like, they just tell me where to go. I didn't question it. And then within the past 4 months, I remember it was November, they told me to move it up onto the very top story of my house because we have a little bonus room up there. And I was like, okay, why? I decided to ask. And they're like, you guys have made the shift in the earth now. It's time to shoot the energy up. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's like, now that Mother Earth is working with us on this, it's shooting it up to make, like, the ethers lighter. And just noticing how it's all shifting, I was like, oh my God, Sharon, thank you. Like, how did you? Wow. It's beautiful to see the difference. Yeah. And so now it's up on my top story.
That is great. That's interesting. You know, all of those statements come from the values that the 2012 women set in place.
Seriously?
Absolutely. Because I knew that I needed to, I knew this was important to do, and it was laying new foundations. But as a person, as a one person, it was like, didn't seem correct for me to decide what to put in place. So I went, oh, those women, they didn't vote democratically. Decided that if they didn't come to 98% consensus on the values were scrubbed. Their whole weekend would have been worthless because they were not going to do, it wasn't going to be majority rules. No. So I went, these are set in place.
Yes,
They're ready. So
strong.
I could just take them, put them in reality statements. So the continuity here is
Wow.
just amazing, isn't it? And to think that these circles, I think we have like 50 circles so far, not just in the country, but around the world. What will happen when we double that this year?
It's our time to start doing stuff like this
Yeah.
and watch what happens.